So good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world and not in that way. Good evening, Sharona, and are people with
Zach!
penises pissing you off again?
No, of course not. I love the penis. Give me the
There's a
D,
good
Zach.
comment.
Give me the D.
Like for Denver?
I love me some defense.
Actually, I should mark down that time thing. That line right there should be in our next promo.
It should be.
Yeah, well, I figured maybe a little light Super Bowl talk, then we can get into the fun Tennessee issues. So, Peyton Manning single-handedly won the Super Bowl for the Denver Broncos, thus cementing him as the greatest quarterback to throw for 130 yards in a Super Bowl and fumble once and get intercepted once.
I know, man.
There have been some bad quarterback lines for winners. Everybody thinks that in the last decade all quarterbacks have been awesome, and that's not the case. It was pretty straightforward. It was Denver's got a chance if they take a lead early. They got the field goal. Somehow they were able to get that first drive in the last two games, and that was enough. And then Cam got sacked by the suddenly not so good Carolina Panthers offensive line. And by the way, there's a great line of Michael Oher. They always talk about offensive linemen being on skates. He actually looks like he's on skates. His feet are not moving, and he's getting pushed backward because apparently Levi's Stadium turf might not be so good.
It's been an issue ever since they. Yeah, it's been an issue ever since they opened, and they actually. I did not know this. I forget when I found this out. It was actually after the game, I think, because they had these concerns already, and the field was already sort of in bad shape. They kept the Girl Scouts out because they knew they were going to have a concert, and then Beyonce and her dancers were out there in spike heels and stuff, which kind of messed with the turf again. It was kind of, but yeah.
Yeah, let me show this one, assuming it actually pops up on my screen at some point. There it is. So here's Michael Oher, and there's he skating back in the quarter. It's like my cats, like when they put their claws down. It's like,
yeah. You know. I mean, it wasn't about. It wasn't. You know, all that bad of a play by Michael Oher. Michael Oher, I know people want to rag on dude. The tackles had their hands full, and I said this, when you try to triple team Von Miller, you leave Michael Oher one-on-one with DeMarcus Ware. He's pretty damn good too.
Yeah, it didn't really matter who the offensive line was. They had great defensive tackles, and I was hoping to get a little more traction from my tweet saying that Wade Phillips was the best thing that happened to old people since the early bird special, but didn't get a lot of. Because man, did he? I don't know if he was tweeting or if a friend of his was tweeting, but man, everything he posted, he had stuff up for like the next 12 hours, and it was getting the crap reposted out of it.
Yeah,
I know.
He was out partying, from what I understand. Old dude party. You go, dude.
I didn't realize he was out of the league for a year. Maybe there's still hope for all those retread like Belichick guys like Cornell. Maybe 1 year he'll drag a team to the Super Bowl. I don't know.
The funny thing is that the Houston Chronicle, which infamously was hard on him and easy on Gary Kubiak, posted a big thing about Gary Kubiak, who the Broncos won in spite of. Nothing about Wade Phillips anyway. Funny little side note if you're not familiar with Houston sports coverage.
Yeah, you kind of want to say, hey guys, that was your former coach who had some stroke, heart attack, something on the field, and that was not good. And then a year understudy with the Ravens, and all of a sudden he's the guy. But hey, all the pro Brady people, Peyton did get the Super Bowl with 4 different coaches. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And with having like half an arm. He didn't need to do much. He threw that one interception to Cody Ealy. By the way, the best player of the Panthers was a Missouri guy. It's only good news out of Missouri in about a year. So
it's been a bad week for Missouri and Tennessee, Zach.
Well, it's like Missouri's basketball program's on, like, it's like, oh, they hired the coach who got kicked out of Miami for having recruiting violations, and he had recruiting violations. And the team, no one cares about anyway, so it didn't matter. See, when people care about your team, like the Tennessee Vols, and they have off-field issues, then that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the lawsuit that we're getting ready to talk about.
Oh. Well, what about Cam? Did you have an opportunity to talk for like 3 hours about
I did a quick...
everybody overreacting to everything Cam Newton did in the past 3 days?
Yeah, I did Monday for an hour. I didn't talk 30 minutes just on the Super Bowl. But I talked about all the pearl clutching going on over Cam and Peyton and his beer comment and stuff. And so, yeah, I did talk about Cam. Okay, he didn't act the way he probably should have. There were extenuating circumstances, the pouting and the sulking and all of that. I mean, he needs to grow up, okay? But I still don't have an issue with the celebrating and all of that. But I do agree with the people who say that, he has to learn to take the good with the bad. There's no question. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't quite ready for that. Maybe after he was all but canonized on Saturday night, because he won the AP Offensive Player of the Year and the MVP, the odd double award thing. And for 2 weeks, I've been talking about, it's the quarterback who's going to change the game. Remember when Vince Young was going to change the game?
Yeah. Well, Steve McNair did sort of change the game once they let him be great. So,
Steve McNair was good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So sad. But, yeah, it kind of passed, although I did make a comment about how I thought, well, people will forget about Cam Newton after all the games are on this weekend. And it's like, oh, man, no games till September? Are we going to make it? We going to be okay? Do we have anything to talk about?
I think we'll make it. I think we'll be all right.
Okay. So
I've got gaming. You've got your TV shows. By the way, you want to tell us about your new show and how your first show went?
Oh, me?
Yes,
I guess so. I like to talk about hot topics, so I decided to talk about a TV show that hasn't been in the air since 2003. So I did a show with Jen Ryan, FF Degenerate, and talked about the HBO show Oz, for about an hour. And we actually did a nice Oz character draft where I devised the categories and we kind of talked about it because that show is full of characters. And Jen works on the show I always call SUV, but it's Law and Order SVU. And she actually works with some of the guys who actually were actors in that show. So it's kind of a nice connection. Plus, it was like it was a New York City show, and a lot of New York City people were in it and locations. Even though the show was famously like the Springfield of The Simpsons, never named. Anyway, it's the first of a series of at least one of Zach On shows. Not sure what we'll tackle next. We'll see during the cold, dark off season. Right?
Cold, dark off season. So, we're going to talk about some of this stuff in a minute. By the way, I've got my backup drink here in the back. So, I hear that, and I've kind of talked about this. I hear that your sports allegiance is kind of under fire here lately. Are you over it? Sports allegiance, over it or not?
I don't know what exactly you're talking about in terms of sports allegiance, like one team in particular or all the teams? I mean,
you tell us that.
You tell us.
All right, I'll refine it. Titans sportsship, Titans fandom, over it or not, Zach?
Well, I mean, if I had a choice, I'd probably say over it. I mean, if I'm going to...
Do you have any confidence that they are going to draft the right player with the #1 overall selection in 2016?
Well, you have to go by track record, although fans of sports teams, you sometimes throw logic out the window, and that's how you stay fans for years, for bad teams and for good teams. So, no, it's unfortunate that they have the first pick, and there's not a lot of excitement around it because it's the Titans, and there isn't that obvious guy to take there, and I heard you were giving him crap for possibly taking a tackle there, right?
Well, I mean, okay, you've got the #1 overall selection in the draft. You've got some solid players on your team. No playmaker that scares anybody. You've drafted an offensive tackle and an offensive guard in the last 3-4 years, and you're going to take another tackle. Okay, whatever. I mean, nothing against the guy. I think he's a nice player, but they need a playmaker. They need a guy that teams fear.
I do think that with the #1 pick, you kind of want to get like the defensive version of the Marcus Mariota, like the guy who sets the tone. The Von Miller, the Raiders took Khalil Mack, who's like really developed in his second year. You need someone. Basically, if you have the quarterback, then you want the guy who's coming after the quarterback.
Well, this is why they fucked up in the past several years, and they.
There's just one reason, just one.
This is in draft wise. They could have taken C.J. Mosley, who they needed. They could have taken a stud secondary player, which they need. But what did they do? They crapped it away.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like a year and a half ago, you wouldn't say anything negative about Titans. Now I'm like, man, Sharona's coming after with more fire than I am. What's happening here? What's going on? Because
I'm just trying to get on your level, Zach.
Thank you. But was it called punching down? You're punching down here.
No, I'm punching up.
Okay. But on Monday, the Seattle Seahawks had a video for Marshawn Lynch, who was retiring, which I thought was really good. And then I saw today that the Titans had a video honoring Michael Griffin, who they just cut. And I was like, I cannot remember one good play that Michael Griffin made in his entire Titans career. That, like, game-changing play, even an interception, I can't remember. I can remember getting burned a lot and, like, missing tackles.
He had a few key interceptions. I think and I don't remember what years and specifically what he was so great on special teams, and you can say that about Michael Griffin going back to his Texas Longhorns years. He had some. I don't remember if they were punts or field goals, but he had a few blocks. And I mean, like one year he was like a standout special team. I think he actually made the Pro Bowl that year strictly on special teams.
He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. I'm like, I seem to remember having one year where he had a lot of interceptions.
And the other thing that Michael Griffin was very good at that the Titans used to do, and I don't know, I didn't actually pay that much attention to him last year. Really, I'm not as in depth as I had been, but Michael Griffin was very good on the safety blitz. He was very good at that, and he didn't get enough credit for that. So, there.
But he ended up being paid like an Earl Thomas and didn't play like – and they just gave him this big contract, and every year it was like, are they going to cut him now? Are they going to cut him now? And then finally, yeah, they cut him.
Well, I mean,
I think first-round safety, you got to get
and people forget they drafted him – immediately switched him to cornerback, and he started his rookie season, 5 or 6 games at cornerback. I should have actually looked all this up. I knew we were going to talk about him. I'm sorry, Zach. But he started like 5 or 6 games at cornerback. It was very good. But they needed help at safety, and they moved him back, and they never switched him back there. He was very versatile. Then he had the shoulder injury that he has surgery on that. He had a few injuries, and but the problem is that the Titans, from all appearances, well, first of all, Rustin Webster did not know how to build a roster, and secondly, the Titans had no plan in the secondary. None, zero, nada.
Well, their plan seemed to be sign a guy from the Bills every year.
Well, besides that,
who didn't always start. It was like if you wanted like to instill leadership and discipline and all that, you got to go to the Buffalo Bills, and they're like actual worse than the Titans' track record over the past 15 years.
Actually, George Wilson and And seriously, we're both very good in that regard. And George Wilson definitely lended a leadership element to the team. He was very good on special teams. And when he got the opportunity on defense, he was very good. Yeah.
Maybe you should be an agent. I don't know. You talk about these players well. I'm impressed.
And he wasn't hard on the eyes. Hi, George.
Well, I feel like Cersei actually started, although, yeah, I'm just like you.
He did start.
The team was there, and I was aware they existed. I just didn't pay much attention to them.
George Wilson played a lot, too, after Bernard Pollard went down.
Pour one out for Bernard Pollard.
He's trying to make a comeback. I hope.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
He's got an agent now. He's got an agent now, and so we'll see.
So one comment about the halftime show or the song that was inspired to the halftime show. So if I get taken to Red Lobster after sex, I wouldn't think that my performance was all that notable. So take me somewhere that's good. I mean, I think I know what Beyonce is going for with those lyrics, but come on. When's the last time she was at Red Lobster? Maybe she has someone send her fresh baked biscuits or whatever. But other than that,
that's the only good thing. That's the only good thing.
I cannot believe anything else there is notable.
That's the only good thing at Red Lobster, and I agree. Beyonce and Jay ain't going to Red Lobster, but I totally believe she has hot sauce in her bag.
Why? I carry it with her all the time.
Because what self-respecting woman does not have hot sauce in her bag? Come on now.
I mean, this is a common refrain by my wife, but it's like everything I eat has to have ketchup, whipped cream, or Frank's hot sauce on it. Just about everything I eat has one of those three things on it. So that's how it goes. And by the way, I'm debuting a beer tonight. This is a local beer, but it's a special version. There's the Scotch Ale, but it's a cinnamon cocoa version, so you're going to love that. By the way, I think our heat's not working, so I need something to warm me up anyway.
Our heat has been very iffy, but I got it warmed up. I actually had to change because I was in my Christmas PJs, and they're very warm. I am finishing off the Dragon's Milk Stash, the official beer of Sharona and her Twitter and everything Sharona related. So, despite the fact that it is officially Lent and I'm not prepared, and I said I was giving up alcohol.
Well, when you're sleeping, you give up alcohol.
This just in, I'm a bad Catholic.
Give up beer. That's just, that sounds like a lot. I know after football season, you're like, well, maybe I could calm down a bit. But, other than that.
Well, it was going to work, and then UT had to go and get in deep shit, and now it's like, I totally picked a bad time. And then there was some stupid shit on Twitter this morning about the elections, and I was like, fuck me.
I feel like the unspoken words before Twitter are the stupid shit on, because that's just a constant. And sometimes you follow it just to be entertained, and then after a while you're like, oh, wait, that stuff that I think is sarcasm is what people actually think.
It is so scary.
And that makes you go, wait, no, that's not, you don't really believe. Oh, you do? Oh, okay. You'll think, oh, you might surround yourself in certain circles and go, well, people don't think differently. And then you go, oh, they really do.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because we have some nice, happy topics to talk about, like the University of Tennessee. And I just saw the headline, and I took a quick look, and I thought, well, yeah, this is definitely a Sharona kind of story. When the headline is lawsuit.
I did not know until Zach told me. I was blissfully ignorant out there living my life. Can I live, Zach? Can I live, buddy?
No.
Zach had to slide in my DMs. Hey, yo, Sharona. You see, Tennessee and Missouri, boy, bad week for them.
Yeah, the headline, lawsuit, Tennessee player assaulted by teammates for helping rape victim. Is this where we start talking about the hashtag Vol for Life? Or?
Yeah. The interesting thing about that, and then I was telling Zach this before the show got started, and I'll tell you guys this now, and then we'll talk about the lawsuit. I hear stuff about the Titans too, and I don't go out and solicit information. I'm not an information trader, right? I mean, that's not my thing. But I hear stuff and people tell me stuff, and I get it sometimes from the most unlikely of places, which is another story. But I remember this, and I remember, and this is a pattern in this lawsuit, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I remember being told, and I'm trying to think what the exact, I'm going to mess up the verbiage. I'm going to mess up exactly how I was told this. But it's to the effect that, and this is true about not just Tennessee football, in college sports in general. There are people who associated with the universities that go on these message boards and try to create rumors and slanders against people to help. And I was told about this situation. I said, and I was told to go out and go and troll message boards and see what was being said and stuff, with the insinuation that there was a lot more. And I just never, I don't even remember when this was. And I was busy and there was a lot going on. And I had deliberately been like, I'm not going to cover the Vols. And I think I wrote about this because I was like, I want to have an area where I have a fandom, where I allow myself to be a fan and I don't get caught up in trying to be objective and all of that. I can just be a fan. So I hadn't really, and I didn't go out to the message boards, and I just didn't follow up. And so when I was reading this lawsuit, I was like, oh shit, that's the guy, that's dude, and so I know there was an effort to slander this guy and the girl too, who I don't know who that is. But the more interesting thing is that Jenny in the lawsuit, I remember distinctively that. And at that time I was covering Tennessee. And I remember when all that was going down, when there was an effort in the media publicly, every slander her to make her, and I forget, I mean, they were trying to make it look like she fucked the football players and stuff. It was bad. And I was like, what's going on? Because there's something we don't know going on here, or they wouldn't be doing all of this. And as it turns out, this is what's going on.
Bad times.
So yeah.
I would guess getting into the message board would be like, entering the mouth of madness in a way.
I just, I used to post on message boards all the time, and I was, big into it. And I know, I learned the hard way, because I interacted with some Tennessee people. I used to be way more tied in to Tennessee athletics than I am now. And I had real good information. And and people used to, and I thought they were other fans. You get used in this business, and you learn to be careful what you do. So yeah, anyway.
Did you get a kind of a taste of that? People had that thing about the FSU Twitter, like when Jameis Winston was being accused and everybody was going out of their way to attack the woman who's accusing him and going out of their way to make sure he was innocent.
Yeah. Nobody's really attacked me from Vols Twitter, not lately. I still get shit from Titans people, but nobody really. I've developed over the course of the past several years a little bit of you would think, practicing law, that I would have a thick skin, and I did, but I went through a period where I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and and you get things that are said to you and things that are done to you, you react differently when when you're in those situations. But fortunately, I've learned to get myself in a better place. But that's the interesting thing, and it's a good way to segue, I suppose, into the lawsuit. I remember, Zach, you and I having all these conversations about little John. And lo and behold, he's part of this lawsuit. It's kind of funny.
Third down for what? Is in trouble?
Yeah. It was alleged as part of the pattern. And, while I understand, I can promise you as a survivor of abuse and violence, and as someone who has empathy and I can never truly understand what another woman has gone through, because my experience is certainly different. We all, there's no perfect victim, there's no typical response, there's not a manual or a guidebook to help us and to tell us what to do. And when you're going through it, you're certainly like, is this happening? What, and I can't even begin to describe it to you. But now that I know what was really going on and I read the lawsuit, I can tell you that I have a lot of empathy for the young women who were watching this and who were watching the behavior of the so-called adults in this situation. And they were watching Butch Jones, who's supposed to be the adult in the situation, cozy up to little John. And little John's lyrics are awful and terrible and very traumatic for women who've gone through these circumstances. And I can promise you it mattered to them. It mattered to them. And you failed them, Butch Jones, and I'm really disappointed in you.
Tell us how you really feel.
So, but and it's kind of weird because when Zach and I were talking about this show, I was like, let's talk politics. We'll talk about the Tennessee law. I hadn't read the lawsuit. I didn't even know Little John was part of it. But as I've been talking about the elections and I've been wanting to talk about Hillary, and I'm going to talk about Hillary either tomorrow or Friday.
You can't stop her.
I can't. Just quit, you, Hill. No, I mean, it's fascinating to me what's going on. But here's the thing, and I think, and it's a theme between the two, what's going on with Hillary and the Butch Jones and Quanzo Martin. I'm disappointed in him too. It's a theme between the situations in that the adults who should be examples and who should be, I know they're trying to court the young person vote or the young person allegiance, recruiting and all of that. But you shouldn't abandon your accountability and your culpability and your responsibility. You're not a friend, Butch Jones. You're a coach. You're a leader. You're a teacher. You should fucking act like it.
Yeah, I feel like similar situation happened, reading about Missouri and having some history of sexual violence and with the team. And it didn't seem like the coach really wanted to do anything about it until it kind of became public. And if it wasn't, then it was okay. And I've actually been listening to this because I've been trying to do a little personal growth. And I've been listening to this book on tape about emotional intelligence. And I'm like, why is it that these football coaches get to be all rah-rah and they can get their guys all excited and ready to play a game, but when they deal with like stuff that's not having to do with football, they are like a gym coach or something. Like they are not equipped to deal with the situation.
No, I think it's even worse than that. I think that they want to be their buddies. And some of the allegations in the lawsuit.
You want to be.
I think that some of the allegations in this lawsuit are that the football coaches were present at some of these parties and stuff, and and that's not leadership.
Yeah, that's not good when. What percentage of your players are actually like of drinking age anyway? Not that that's that's in there too, but yeah, the kind of the culture that happens at the college football level is a bit. They get treated like gods in a way, and they're like, well, I can get away with anything, and then they do, and then when they don't, it's all downhill from there. And anyone who has the guts, because you usually say balls, but you'd say guts in this case, to come forward and actually press charges. How many people have had that opportunity and haven't. I mean, when Doyle Green Beckham, Titan, gotten in a situation where he allegedly pushed a woman down the stairs. Basically, charges were dropped, or charges were not pressed because he was on the football team, was an important guy. And so we kind of slide a little bit, kind of didn't slide a little bit. But yeah, those things are another part of the not totally buying it anymore to the fandom, just because it's
just about every. I need to go back and look. The lawsuit, by the way, on its face, meets a prima facie case, which is the basics for a Title IX violation for two separate plaintiffs. There are five or six that are outlined in the lawsuit as part of the pattern.
Yeah, I wondered if you could talk about that side of it, like what does Title IX fit into it, and how does it make it a certain kind of case, since you're one of them law-talking people?
Well, Title IX is supposed to allow it. Title IX is a broad, sweeping federal legislation that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, and it has a lot of facets to it. It's most germane and pertinent to athletics or has been very instrumental in allowing for a vital and important women's athletic programs to flourish. There's also it's also an umbrella for that prohibits universities from putting forth an administrative process for victims that come forward and allege illegal or unlawful actions against athletes. And it applies in a lot of different situations, but in this particular case, and some of the more troubling things, the thing about Title IX is that A, there's a procedure which Tennessee didn't meet, and B, there's a process. And part of that process is that these things are supposed to be resolved timely. And that is where FSU in the Jameis Winston situation, where they got in major trouble and major doo-doo. They didn't do it timely and they didn't follow the correct process. Listen, this is far worse than FSU. This is way worse than FSU on its face. And so, I haven't sat down and outlined and done my, as an English major, you used to diagram, sentences and stuff. I haven't, and I would do that in legal situations. I would sit down and diagram things out, and I haven't done that. I've read the lawsuit. It's extremely troubling. The retaliation part of it is troubling. But what is even more troubling is the callous disregard for the alleged victims in this case, by the university, by the athletic program, by the individual coaches, and most especially by the players.
Yeah, I'd say that. I think I brought up an idea that, the way people treat college athletes, in a way, they tend to dehumanize them. But in this case, the victims are being dehumanized. So I was going to do the Oprah Winfrey voice. You get dehumanized, you get dehumanized. But it didn't seem appropriate to make a joke at this time. Or maybe this is the right time for a joke. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Try to throw a little levity in here because it's a...
You got to joke about things.
It needs to be talked. I don't know. Actually, I don't think I've done my Oprah for you, so And you get dehumanized, and you get dehumanized, and you get dehumanized. Everybody gets dehumanized. Woo! Woo! You get a car. No, you don't. You get nothing.
All right. Sorry, I got to feed. It's feeding time apparently.
Oh,
Somebody's hungry.
I see your pets are getting along really well, right?
Yes, they are. I only have one in right now. The puppy dog's in here. The cats are out. I forget which night it was. What is it? This is Wednesday because we're doing the show. I guess this was Monday night. I had Libby, who's my puppy dog, and new small kitten who's Iggy, who's growing but is still fairly small. They were the only two in here. Libby was in her crate, and Iggy was in, and I think Iggy's a little girl. Iggy was in bed with me, and Iggy wanted to snuggle. And Zach knows this because he's got kittens, and I don't know if you out there, our loyal, awesome watchers, know this. A, little kittens have sharp little claws, and B, little kittens snuggling consists of, sinking those sharp little claws.
They need on you?
Yes, in you, and it's especially painful when you're trying to.
You mean like this guy?
Oh, look at that little cutie.
So he's like, we're gonna be cuddling big time tonight.
Oh,
like,
so cute.
Seriously, dude, get up.
So cute. So yeah. But yeah, they're getting along well, and Smokey and Iggy are very close. Smokey is the orange and white tabby that I named in honor of UT, Smokey, the mascot. And so, and they're close. They're usually together. Bandit loves everybody, but he loves me the most. And he's very fond of, if you're sensitive, you might want to turn off your sensitive little ears now. This might be some TMI for you. But Bandit is quite fond of when I'm sitting on Le Toilet, coming up and sticking his nose in my buttocks. It's like, oh God.
Well, yeah, of course cats in the bathroom. That's a hot topic right there. But it does seem like when you're in there and you're in the shower, they're like, "What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is not what we do. We do not go into a water room, and we definitely don't do our business into something that's wet. You people in your water has gotta end. It's confusing to us all."
I fully expect Bandit to jump in there with me someday because he's very curious about it. And Bandit thinks where Mom goes, he gets to go. I mean, it's a couple of times, and this is how bad it is. He sees Libby, the dog, go outside, right? And so a couple of times he's been like, but she gets to go out. I should get to go out. And so he'll run outside. And both times it was very bad weather. One was raining. The other one was snowing really badly. And he was like, oh, well, fuck this. I'm back in. This is not so great.
Well, did you get snowed in?
Yeah. This week it was weird because what day was it? It started snowing Monday. And then it stopped, and it sort of kind of cleared off, and it snowed again. When I woke up Tuesday morning, there was more snow, and everything was covered. And then it kind of cleared up a little bit, and then it snowed again. So it's been kind of this, these waves and stuff. And so, but it's gone now. I can get out tomorrow, which I'm gonna.
Because my mom's already said that they've had so much time off in Nashville that they actually are digging into spring break. And I was wondering if they actually could do that, because it seems like the parents always schedule vacations, so they can't cut them off so the kids can't go.
Yeah.
Lawsuit.
Yeah. But back to the lawsuit. Trying to think what else. I mean the jumping, the dude. That's bad. It's going to be interesting because, for Title IX, it doesn't have to, and we saw this in Jameis Winston, the FSU deal. It doesn't have to be, we believe what, the allegations are. This is not about the he said, she said stuff. It's about the factual allegations, the procedure, and the process. And so the facts, whether you believe or not that these athletes, some of them more than once allegedly raped a female student, you don't necessarily have to deal with that. It's was there a complaint made? When was it made? You know, dot, and these are all readily verifiable. So it's, you know, dot, and so now we're at the point when I know Tennessee's universities released their statement and whatever, but in federal court you have 20 days to file a response. They may file a motion to extend that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, and then here's the other thing that is just so mind-boggling to me. And again, I, you know, hadn't really been paying all that much attention. I mean, I knew AJ Johnson had been accused and all of that stuff and whatever. But here's the other thing. The university, instead of like being smart and going, well, you know, we've got all this going on, we should probably chill on, is that me or you?
I think my wife's actually on the phone in the other room, and it's starting to come through. I could close the door, but I have to get up.
Anyway, if it was me, I was going to shut a website down or whatever. So, you know, everything, it just looks bad. It just all looks so bad. You know, and that's the thing. And this is where I was going with the Little John stuff. And I got off on the victims and my sympathy for them, which I do have an enormous, tremendous amount of empathy. And I can't imagine what it felt like to be them and watching that shit. I just can't. So if you're watching, I'm so sorry. You know, it was uncalled for. But, you know, just the whole pattern of how they acted, it's just so bad. You know, it really is. It's just so bad. Anyway, it's way worse than FSU.
Yeah, you always hear in these situations think, oh, is there anything could have done to make this situation better? And it never seems to get cut off early. It always seems to have to get to a really explosive level before. So what does this do about your bubble regarding fandom?
Well, I mean, you know,
Sorry.
It takes a hit, you know. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, it takes a hit. You know, my respect for Coach Martin and for Coach Jones takes a hit. I mean, I knew what Dave Hart was, and I said, you know, that they. Anyway, I mean, you knew what Dave Hart was. You know, it just, I don't know. You know,
Dave Hart, the athletic director, or
yes. Okay. You know, my fandom has taken a hit for sports in general, and we've talked about this before. I mean, you know that. I mean, because sports is just a microcosm of society in general, and because it's so high profile, and because it does command the news cycle and the attention, you know, you get an opportunity. I suppose the average person, by you, I mean the average person, gets an opportunity to look and to see and to read. And but when you know, and when you come from a background of you know, practicing law, and you've been involved in all this, and you know about it, and you know, and you sat in front of a woman talking to you about, you know, her abuse situation, and you see the cigarette burns on her arms, and you know the death threats that she's been through. You know, it very little surprises you, but you're like, you know, I would just like, you know, we don't live in a utopia. It's unfortunate, we just don't.
And is the dog going to be okay?
Yeah, she's like,
those noises are just like, I want attention. That's what it sounds like.
She is. She wants attention. She's funny. She's fine. She's just getting old, and you know.
Like every individual story of like domestic abuse I've ever heard is just heartbreaking, and it's, as you mentioned, each one is different, and just someone's gone through that and then they get kind of tossed aside is just not something that I can accept. So it's,
well, this particular situation was awful, and yeah, I mean, this woman had been terrorized. And, and then it's hard because, you're dealing with your own feelings, and you're like, and it's really hard, to process a lot of it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I thought maybe this would be a good time to do the over it or not. We'll see. You might disagree.
No, I'm fine. Sure.
Over it or not, taking a break.
You mean relationship wise?
Well, from this relationship, it sounds like you had enough of me. You need to move on.
No.
You're gonna see other hosts and stuff.
No, I'm taking a hiatus on my Tuesday night webcast with my girl Sonia, and I love her as almost as much as I love you, Zach. No, she's my bae, and I love her, and the show's wonderful, and we enjoy doing it. But you have to rest and recharge, and I'm actually kind of scaling back on my podcast. Like last week, I think I did a 3-hour show on Friday, which was, so, when I was still recovering from that because it was that, and then, the Super Bowl and everything. And so, and then, coming off the NFC Championship game and the drive and the trip and everything. So, I just want to take a little small, brief hiatus. We'll be back. Like maybe a week or two, be off or whatever. But I don't know, I'm feeling better tonight.
A week or two.
But see, I'm feeling better tonight. So now I'm like, well, I'm taking a hiatus on that show. I'm scaling back on the podcast. I don't really, this is fun and we drink beer. And so I'm like, well, do we have to take one? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, I want to give you the option here to have a little therapy. So I want to let you get it out. So what about, have words for me about me deciding to do another show without you?
I think it's great. I don't watch a lot of TV, and you don't game. And so if I said, oh, Zach, I'd kind of like to do, sorry, my nose is running. I was like, oh, Zach, I kind of like to do a show devoted to gaming. I know Zach would be like,
I'm still in the dig dug, that's my thing.
Yeah, so, and I don't, I Netflix and chill, but I don't prefer, I have not even caught up on the X-Files, which I need to do. I haven't done that yet. So, I think the only thing that bothered me is that you didn't have the courtesy to even tell me. You announced it on the show, Zach.
Yeah, I don't do like you, where you tell me in privacy before the show, and then I spill the beans during the show. That's the way the pattern goes.
That was rude.
I broke the pattern. I had it on my mind. I just didn't know when it was going to happen, and we had talked about it with Jen about doing the Oz. That was really the only thing. My whole concept is like, I want to do a show. I do 2 shows on 2 very specific subjects, and I didn't want to talk about either of them for a week. So Oz was it. And really, I watched Oz over a 6-month period, and I know in like 2 months I'll have forgotten 99% of it. So I wanted to get it all out in one show. And I feel like we did. And I think a couple of old people have actually watched it. I heard that Andrew Miley said he watched it, and Bob Harris, and those guys aren't young. So the old people are uniting for perhaps the first ever Oz fantasy draft. So I'm glad we did it, although I don't know how we'll be doing any more. But I just want to let you know, I wanted to let you get it out. Get your feelings out.
Well, I got it out. I mean, I'm kind of a roll with the flow kind of girl. I'm not, no, I'm not petty. I don't hold grudges.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So we're still in over it or not. I took a little detour, but HGH, you over it or not? You know what I'm talking about.
Nah, I think that it's an opportunity to have a good discussion about what we value. And, HGH is an interesting thing. Let's talk about it some more.
How about Budweiser?
Over it.
Peyton throwing the plug. And by the way, a quick review. So I bought this beer. This is a local beer, Monday Night Brewing, and they do something called the Drafty Kilt Scotch Ale, which is a good Scotch Ale. It's a dark beer. But this version has cinnamon and cocoa with it. So here's what this makes me think. This makes me think about my cousin. And my cousin, when he texts me, he texts one of two things. One is "Kiss Your Sister," which is in reference to a tie football game, which doesn't happen anymore in college football. And he also texts Fireball because he loves the cinnamon whiskey called Fireball that's like super popular by people who drink more than me, hard to believe. And sadly, the cinnamon comes a little too much through in this beer. It makes me think of that, and that's a little too boozy. Yeah. So if you really like cinnamon, let me know, because I got some beer that I might be pushing.
Is it like drinking a candy cane?
Well, just the cinnamon.
That's not candy cane. That's like
the cinnamon's very strong up front. I was like cinnamon like cocoa. I'm like, where's the cocoa?
Is it like a Cinnabon? Is it like drinking a Cinnabon?
It just reminds me of the Fireball. Because my cousin and I were watching 2 football games at once. It was LSU getting their ass kicked by Texas A&M, and then Missouri. Actually, Missouri was beating Texas A&M, and when Missouri scored a touchdown, we had to do a shot of Fireball, and that was not fun. And my parents gave it. They actually had the bottle in their house, and they gave it away because they were just like, no, they were not about that.
I used to chew Big Red all the time. I like cinnamon. Wow. I might take that off your hand. If you wanna send it to me with that Game of Thrones mug.
Right. Well, I do have to send Jody some beer. I owe him some. So if I can figure out this whole shipping beer thing, then we might be onto something.
All right.
Well, there's a chance I might be in Nashville sometime soon. We'll chat about that. Right. We already talked about this, but Beyonce, over it or not?
No, I think she's great.
Yeah. I didn't really get a lot of the reaction to her because I didn't really see that her outfit or what I didn't really know the song she was singing or anything. I was just like, yay, Coldplay's not singing anymore. Good. I love Coldplay.
It was a new song. More exciting when she started performing. It was a new song called Formation from a video that she just dropped. And the dancers' outfits her outfit was an homage to Michael Jackson. And it was all a thing about the Black Panthers and Black pride and heritage, and that's what the song is about. The people had to go get all up in their feelings about it.
Well, if you want to hear more about Black Panthers, go to the Edge of Sports Twitter thing, because that guy likes him some, He did a book about the guys who protested in the '68 Olympics, so check it out. John Carlos, okay. I believe. Yeah, John Carlos. And what the shit he went, you think what Cam went through? How about those guys went through after their protest in 1968? They basically were unhonorable. So anyway.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie about Jackie Robinson, 42. Oh my God, you should. It's fantastic.
I saw part of it. Harrison Ford, look at that. Yeah, the things. I almost felt bad for the actors having to say the lines they had to say. Uh-huh. That was some rough stuff. I guess that to cover it, I do have, for what's brewing, I just, drank probably too much beer at the Super Bowl, but other than that, I was good.
You don't want to talk politics?
Well, what do you got? What's happening in politics? I heard there's this New Hampshire primary or something.
It's fascinating to me. Maybe I'm just weird or whatever. The Bernie Sanders thing.
Well, one of these people are going to be president. So, this is fast. I would qualify as something that you think is fascinating that should be fascinating to others. Yes.
Well, here's the thing, and I've been talking about it, and I'm going to talk about it some more. What set me off was a tweet about this morning was a tweet about white people voting differently from the rest of the country, and I'm like, what the fuck? Voting blocks are not composed entirely, unless it's based entirely on race, which for the most part it's really not. I mean, certainly it permeates it, and there are things that are more important and less important depending on your skin color. But I mean, there are some basic things, healthcare, education, those things affect us all. And so voting blocks in general are diverse. And, but there's always layers to everything. But here's the thing, and I've been watching the reaction to Hillary Clinton for a long, long, long time, and she's a woman that I admire, but I understand the baggage that she comes with, and some of it's justified, some not. And as a woman, you're like, you watch the reaction to her and the media coverage of her and all of that. But here's the thing, and I think this is the thing that is almost key for me, and I don't know how it's going to turn out. The anti-Clinton group is very diverse, and it's not just comprised of Black Americans, although for very legitimate reasons they are a big part of that. But there are a large number of white Americans and young women who are, I don't want to say anti-Hillary Clinton, but here's the thing. I think, and you can put me in that category. The Clintons have very much exhibited an attitude of political expediency. And they've been always willing to divest themselves of people and things that they have considered politically expedient. And I think that resonates with people who've been following their careers and who've been following politics, and particularly for for me, because this is such an important election for women. And I don't think that, because I do think that that's a large part of her appeal, I don't think that women would be a group that Hillary would want to treat as politically expedient. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, there's something to be said that people seem to be treating this election as they want something new.
It's very anti-establishment.
Although they did want something new with Obama. I think the advantage Obama had over Clinton is he didn't have all that history or baggage. Yeah. There's this Clinton baggage. Like you said, lightning rod. I'm like, nobody's been, like, whatever Cam's dealt with in the last 2 weeks, like Clinton's like that times 100, like for the past, I don't know how many years. And the fact that people get pissed off at her about Benghazi and don't give a shit about W and the 2 places that got hit while he was president, or about the whole email situation. Yeah. Seems like anything she does gets hit way harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's like, can we get over this Bush-Clinton thing? Maybe we should move on to a new person. But
well,
anyone with an R just scares me.
Oh yeah, they're all batshit crazy. Not good.
I know they're playing to their base, but there are way too many, as a guy who lives in Georgia, way too many legislatures that are pretty much Republican dominated all over the country. And if the presidency goes that way, it's going to get bad, I think. So that's something that gets me. So it's like, whatever you think of Clinton, it's like, unfortunately, you do that party thing that you don't want to do. Because we're a two-party system, and as I mentioned, we love business over people. And
listen, Ross Perot ain't walking through that door to save
Ross Perot.
I mean, there's not a third-party candidate that's going to come in and save us. This is what it is. We're stuck with this. And do you want Donald Trump having China or Korea or whoever launch, missiles or financial catastrophe on us, or do you want?
Going to make this whole thing interesting is if Clinton beats Sanders and Sanders runs as a third party, or Trump loses the Republican nomination.
Well, see,
one of those two could at least.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Can Bernie Sanders
I don't
raise
think
that?
Sanders, yeah.
He can't raise that amount of money. He's not. He's getting his average donation is what, $28. He can't raise that amount of money. He's not. That's why he declared as a Democrat. He cannot do it that way. But you know what? Everybody been saying, "Oh, Bernie, you can't take him seriously." Well, you know what? You better take him seriously. Just like they were saying, "Oh, Donald Trump, you can't take him seriously." Well, you know what? You better take him seriously too.
Yeah. Well, we've already seen that. Anybody who's on Facebook knows the people who support him, and it's just like, oh.
What?
It's gonna be, I'd say, interesting. I don't know about fun, but that's definitely what's going to be happening. So see, the fact that football may be over, although it's not really over because we have NFL 10s happening right now. We have me doing a dynasty mock right now. We have draft talk happening now, cap talk. Calvin Johnson retiring.
Yeah.
That's why everybody can't do the show for a while.
Who else? Then Beast Mode, and then somebody else retired. Oh, John Beeson. Retired today.
I'd say your buddy Peyton's about to retire.
He's going to retire.
I don't know how, he's going to figure something out.
He's going to retire.
Michael Strahan created an empire after he retired. Peyton going to do that twice over.
Peyton's going to drink beer and kiss his wife.
Maybe Peyton 2020. What do you think?
I don't think he's going to run for politics. I don't think he has that in him. I don't know. I could see him doing media. I could see him. I don't see him coaching. I don't think he wants to put
coaching. No, maybe something what Elway has done.
Yeah, I think athletic director or general manager. That's what I've been saying for a long time.
In a group that buys the Titans, which would be fine because someone needs to buy them. Someone needs to buy them before they move to London or something. Rat? No. Oh, you're distracted. What happened? I lost you. How did I lose you? What did I do? I'm so sorry.
Just something on Vol Twitter. Just
oh gosh, Vol Twitter. That's the thing.
Woo!
For some reason, there's this Jags Twitter everybody's scared of, but there's no Missouri Twitter and there's no Titans Twitter. Really, there's 7 people. So it's unfortunate that you don't get these attitudes. It's just we're bored. That's all you get. So at least you have that with Vols. You got some passion. Come on.
I mean, the funny thing is that you see some of the usual suspects, and they were out there talking about Vandy, and they were out there talking about FSU. But now when it comes down to them, they're just hypocrites. That's it.
Yeah, it's hard when it hits you when you go after other groups or other teams or other whatever, and then something hits something that you identify with, and then you're like, oh crap, what do I do now? And that's when you find out how you really feel.
Yeah.
Sharona's not afraid. I'll talk about you in the third person. Sharona's not afraid.
I'm not afraid. I'll talk about myself. I'll talk about myself in the third person. I ain't scared.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay. Well, so are you going to be you doing a show tomorrow, or are you off this week? Or
well, since you so graciously let me, talk and stuff tonight, I'd set a podcast to do today, and then I'll reset it for tomorrow. I really got stuff I need to do tomorrow, and so I may do it Friday. But I'm going solo. I'm not going to try to get a guest or anything. So.
I feel like you have enough to talk about. That's why I thought your whole segment, the last word, didn't make sense, because you never got a last word.
What?
You never give a last word. There are always more words.
Well, I like the final word. I think it's
final
good.
Final word. Sorry. Branding.
Final word. Branding. My brand. Yeah. Woo.
Well, okay then. Well, you're Sharona. I'm Zach. We're on Twitter. You know how to find us. So get on this train.
The official beer, Sharona Twitter.
Not the official beer, but it's okay. I got other stuff. I'll be all right. I'll drink the cinnamon when I've had a little too much. So Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks again to Jody for being on last week.
Yes.
You beer, but you for not listening. So we'll say good night and kiss my grits.
Kiss my grits.